Welcome to the Equipment Library tutorial for PavementLCA.com. Pavement LCA has a database of different construction equipment and their fuel usages. But fuel use can vary greatly depending on many things such as location, time of year, local conditions, and equipment type. If you don't know your equipment's fuel use, you can leave the default values as is. But if you do know the fuel use, you can customize your equipment table to reflect those values. Here are my projects again, and these are the tutorial files we've been working with. I'm going to click on Tutorial HMA, open that with the Edit button on the left. And here we have our project information page, and up on the top we have a construction equipment tab, so I'm going to click on that. Now this table we've opened from inside this project, so this table is specific to this project. At the moment, it's exactly the same as our library table, which I'll show you in a minute. But if you want to keep your library as is, but you want to change it for a specific project, you can edit it here. I'm going to use the asphalt paver as an example. That's the first one on the list here. And I'm going to click the Edit button on the left to open that up. So this is our asphalt paver data. The important value here is this number here, primary fuel consumption, 0.0620 liters per ton. So for every ton of asphalt that we're paving, we're going to add 0.062 liters of diesel and calculate the effects of burning that fuel. Now this number is arrived at through some of these values up here. We have a production rate, and it's assuming you can pave 1,215 tons per day at a load factor for the machine of 62%, on average 8 hours per day and 60 minutes per hour. If any of these things are different for your situation, you could change them, and the value over here will change. Now this is the number that we're going to use in our calculations. So if you actually know straight out, you know what the fuel use is per ton of asphalt paving, you can enter a number there if you wish. But I'm going to try changing something here. Let's say we change the production rate. Let's say we can produce a lot more per day, and let's say it's double. So I'm going to change 1215 to 2,430. Click out of that, and you'll see we've doubled our production per day. That means it's calculated that we're using half of the liters per ton of asphalt pavement. So we're at 0.310. So I'm going to save that change, and you'll see here the fuel consumption value, this is the number that counts, is 0.310. You'll also see an equipment column here, we've got an asterisk on the asphalt paver, and that means that we're indicating that as user-defined equipment as opposed to database or the default values. So I'm going to save the project. With that saved, we are going to go to the library. And remember, we've set our fuel use rate at 0.310 for this project. But if we go over to the left and click Libraries and go to the Equipment Library, click on that, you'll see here asphalt paver. This is at its original value of 0.620. That's the default value in the database. So if I click on that, I can click there and see these are the same numbers as before. And let's say I want to change that like I did before. But let's say we triple it just to make things different. We'll do 3,645. Out of that, and you'll see our fuel use has decreased over here. The other thing about these equipment is secondary fuel consumption, and this is perhaps for asphalt remixers where you have a separate propane or natural gas source on the tool itself that's not diesel fuel. It's a separate, anyways, it's a separate fuel source, energy source, you can choose what kind of fuel source it is and put in a total there as well, a value there. We're not going to do that for an asphalt paver, but we've changed it to 0.027. I'm going to save those changes. And you'll see here, it has changed it has put the asterisk here indicating the user-defined equipment, and it has changed our default to 0.207. So if I go back to that project where we changed it before, so if we go back to the project before, tutorial HMA, I'm going to reopen that. And we'll go back to construction equipment. And you'll see our asphalt paver. This is the 0.310 value that we changed before for this project. Now, let's say we've changed our mind and we want to change it to that one that was in the database that we've just changed in the database. We can say load values from database. Click on that. And you'll see here, that's the database values, not the change value that we changed to before, which is 0.207 in the library. But if we want to change to that 2.07 value that we had before, I'm going to say load user-defined values. And you'll see here, we've got the asterisk here saying it's user-defined equipment, and it's loaded that 0.0207 number from the equipment library that we just changed. So in a way, we've said that going forward, those are the numbers we want to use for this equipment for every project, but you have to remember to load those user-defined values in each project. Otherwise, it's going to take the values from the database. If for any reason you decided that the changes you made don't apply to this project anymore, again, you can load values from database. And there we restored to our original database value, 0.0620. You'll never be able to change the database value. That's locked. You have to remember if you're using your defined values or the database values. Now, if I go back to the library, go back to the equipment library again, that just asked me if I wanted to save the changes, and I didn't bother. We can go back to asphalt paver, and you'll see here we've defined it as a default, user-defined default as 0.207. But let's say we've decided that's wrong anymore, but we don't remember what the number should be. We click load values from database down here again, and you'll see it's restored that production rate of 1215 and a fuel use of 0.620. Save changes. And that's how you can customize your equipment fuel usage for different projects or for all of your projects by manipulating the